Ibrahim Traoré exposes foreign spy in shocking espionage twist. In the vibing city of Ouagadougou, the heart of Burkina Faso in Africa, not too long ago the nights there felt quiet. Maybe too quiet. Inside the grand presidential palace, a man named President Ibrahim Traoré looked out his window. The city lights twinkled, but President Traoré felt a worry deep inside. You see, Burkina Faso was trying something new and brave. President Traoré wanted his country to stand on its own 2 feet. He had asked soldiers from other powerful countries to leave. He wanted the people of Burkina Faso to control their own land, their own gold, and their own future. This made some faraway, powerful countries unhappy. They were used to having a say in things. For weeks, strange things had been happening. Secret plans for the army seemed to get out. Private meetings weren't so private anymore. It felt like someone on the inside was telling secrets to people on the outside. President Traoré felt a cold knot in his stomach. Someone he trusted might be working against him, against their own country. Then, one dusty evening, a message arrived. It came from a young, smart soldier named Captain Naba Zongo. Captain Zongo was working far up in the north, checking radio signals. He found something odd, a secret message hidden inside a report about farming. But when he decoded it, it wasn't about crops or weather. It had secret maps. It had names of people. It held secrets that only the president's closest team should know. President Traoré knew this was serious. He called a secret meeting late that night. Only the people he trusted most were allowed. No phones, no way to contact the outside world. The doors were locked. Captain Zongo nervously placed the secret papers on the big table. The papers revealed the name of the secret teller. It was Colonel Désiré Ouattara. This wasn't just any soldier. Colonel Ouattara was President Traoré's old friend, someone he thought was like a brother, someone he trusted completely. The colonel often sat right beside the president in important meetings. Learning that he was the one sharing secrets felt like a punch to the gut. The room fell silent. You could hear a pin drop. "He's been giving our secrets to the foreigners," Captain Zongo said quietly. For months. President Traoré's heart felt heavy, like it was filled with stones. But his face stayed strong and calm. He looked slowly around the room at his team. "Nobody makes a move," he ordered. "We don't arrest him. Not yet. We watch." He took a deep breath. Think of it like this. If there's a sneaky snake hiding in our house, we don't just scare it away. First, we follow it very carefully back to its nest. We need to see who else is involved. The secret hunt had begun. The next few days were incredibly tense. President Traoré had to act like everything was normal. He smiled, shook hands, led meetings and gave speeches. But behind his calm eyes, he was watching Colonel Ouattara like a hawk. He watched every word, every tiny movement. The colonel acted perfectly normal too, smiling easily. It was almost too perfect. Meanwhile, Captain Zongo and a small team of super loyal soldiers worked secretly, day and night. They quietly followed the colonel. They checked his phone calls, the secret ones of course. They tracked his car. They watched where he went late at night, when he thought nobody was looking. And they found something shocking. Colonel Ouattara kept sneaking out of the palace, driving a plain black car, alone. He always went to the same place, a quiet-looking house near the embassy of France, a powerful European country. The house looked empty, but President Traoré's team knew better. It was a secret meeting spot for spies. The team hid a tiny camera across the street. One night, they recorded it all. Colonel Ouattara went inside the house and met 2 men dressed in fancy suits. These men weren't from Burkina Faso. They were foreigners, spies from America and Europe. The camera watched as the colonel gave them a folder full of papers. In return, they gave him a black suitcase. Later, the team found out what was in the folder: the president's secret travel plans for the whole next month. And the suitcase? Full of money. This was the proof they needed. President Traoré watched the video in his office, the room dark, except for the screen's glow. His fists tightened. His own friend, a man who had fought beside him in battles, was selling out his country. But President Traoré didn't explode with anger. He stayed calm and thought clearly. He picked up a special phone and made a call to Captain Zongo. He said only 2 words: "It's time." They set a trap. The very next day, Colonel Ouattara was told to come to a special security meeting. It was on the top floor of a tall army building. He walked in confidently, probably expecting another normal meeting. But this time, there were no friendly handshakes. Instead, 10 soldiers stood waiting, holding guns. And standing there, staring right at him, was President Ibrahim Traoré himself. The smile instantly vanished from Colonel Ouattara's face. "I thought of you as my brother," President Traoré said, his voice low and powerful, like rumbling thunder. "Why? Why would you do this?" Colonel Ouattara just stared, unable to speak. President Traoré stepped closer. "You sold out our country. What did they offer you? Money? Empty promises? Did you really think those foreign spies would protect you?" Still, the colonel said nothing. Then, Captain Zongo stepped forward and opened the black suitcase they had found. It was full of cash, spy gadgets, and a hidden computer memory stick. "You're not just going to jail," President Traoré said, his voice cold as ice. "First, you are going to tell us everything." Colonel Ouattara found himself in a simple, cold room, deep underground. No windows, no clock, just silence. He hadn't slept. The proud soldier was gone, replaced by a broken man. President Traoré watched him through a special window that looked like a mirror from the colonel's side. It pained him to see his old friend like this, but his duty to his country came first. Captain Zongo went into the room. He put the memory stick on the table. "We opened it, Colonel," Zongo said. "It has everything, every secret file you gave them." Ouattara wouldn't look up. Zongo continued softly, "You don't have to talk. But think about this. When those foreign spies find out you've been caught, they won't help you. They'll forget you ever existed. They were just using you. We are your only chance now." Hours went by in silence. Then, finally, Colonel Ouattara started talking. He told them everything. How the spies from America and Europe had approached him a year earlier. First with nice words, then with gifts of money, then with big promises. A fancy house in Paris, a powerful job after President Traoré was gone. They wanted to control Burkina Faso again, take its gold, run its politics. And he, Colonel Ouattara, had believed their lies. "I thought they were my friends," he whispered. "I thought they would keep me safe. Now I see, they just used me." President Traoré entered the room and sat down across from the man who betrayed him. For a moment they just sat in silence. Then President Traoré spoke, his voice firm but sad. "You didn't just betray me, Désiré, you betrayed all our people. The mothers trying to feed their children, the soldiers risking their lives every day. You sold away their hopes for a better future." Ouattara finally looked up, his eyes filled with shame. I am sorry," he stammered. President Traoré stood up. "You will pay for what you did," he said. "But first, you will help us stop the people you were working for." And so, a new, secret plan began. President Traoré and his team decided to play the spies game but better. They would use Colonel Ouattara to send fake information back to the foreign agents. Fake plans, wrong locations, misleading reports. They would turn the spies' own game against them. Every time the spies thought they were getting a secret, they were really walking into a trap set by Burkina Faso. Soon, strange things started happening to the foreign spies. One important person from an embassy suddenly disappeared. Another was quietly put on a plane and sent home. A third spy, pretending to be an expert on farming, was suddenly exposed in the news for who he really was. Burkina Faso wasn't the country being hunted anymore. Now, it was the hunter. And leading the hunt was President Ibrahim Traoré, calm, smart, and brave. He was fighting back not just with soldiers but with truth and clever thinking. The secret battle was on, and the people of Burkina Faso finally had a guardian watching over them. Their lion was wide awake. The days that followed were like walking a tightrope. President Traoré knew the spies were powerful and had lots of money. But now, they were also confused. Thanks to Colonel Ouattara feeding them bad information, the spies thought they were still in control. They trusted the fake plans. They didn't know they were being led into a trap. Captain Zongo managed this tricky operation from a secret room filled with maps and buzzing radios. President Traoré would visit secretly at night, making sure every move was perfect. Then, the spies made their big move. One of the main foreign agents, a man named Reed, who was pretending to be helping with farming, sent a secret message. He wanted to meet Colonel Ouattara urgently at a hidden house just outside the city. Reed said it was time for the next phase. President Traoré knew exactly what that meant. They were planning something very dangerous, likely aimed at removing him from power, maybe even hurting him. His eyes narrowed. "It ends now," he declared. He ordered a top-secret operation for that night. No army uniforms, no loud noises, just silent soldiers moving like shadows. Colonel Ouattara agreed to help catch the spies who had used him. He wore a tiny hidden microphone and a tracker. His hands trembled a little. He knew this was risky. But he also knew he had to do this for his country. He walked into the hidden house. Inside, Agent Reed and another European spy were waiting. "You've been quiet, Colonel," Reed said, his voice sharp. "Is the president getting suspicious?" Ouattara managed to keep his face calm. "No, he trusts me completely," he lied, handing Reed a folder full of more fake plans. Reed leaned in close. "Good. Because you need to be ready. It's nearly time to finish him. The president must be gone before the upcoming elections." Outside, hidden nearby, President Traoré heard everything through the microphone feed. "Finish him." Those words confirmed the spy's deadly plan. He gave the signal. Instantly, silent soldiers burst through the doors and windows. Reed and the other spy froze in shock as guns were pointed at them. "You are under arrest," Captain Zongo announced firmly. "You can't do this," Reed yelled. "We have diplomatic protection! We're important visitors." Zongo shook his head. "Not tonight. Tonight, you are spies caught in the act." As the angry, sputtering spies were led away, President Traoré stepped out of the shadows into the room. He wore no uniform, carried no weapon. Just stood there, looking Reed straight in the eye. Reed glared back with pure hatred. "You think you've won this little game?" He spat. President Traoré replied calmly, his voice steady. "I didn't win. Burkina Faso won." The next morning, the world woke up to unbelievable news. Foreign spies caught trying to overthrow Burkina Faso government. President Traoré exposes secret plot. The powerful countries whose spies were caught were embarrassed. They made excuses, but everyone knew the truth. Burkina Faso, a small African nation, had stood up to them and won. The man who led this victory wasn't just a president, he was seen as a brave protector, a lion who refused to bow down. The morning after the arrests, the sun seemed to shine a little brighter over Ouagadougou. People gathered, talking excitedly. "He caught them! Our president saved us!" Inside the palace, President Traoré stood quietly, looking out at his city. He knew the fight wasn't truly over, but they had won this important battle. That evening, he spoke to the whole country on television. He wore his simple army uniform. "My brothers and sisters," he began, his voice clear and strong. "I speak to you tonight as your soldier. Powerful forces from outside tried to poison our country from within. They used one of our own to steal our future. They wanted to cause trouble and fear." He paused, letting his words sink in. "But they failed!" A huge cheer went up from the crowds watching outside. "I promise you this," President Traoré declared, his eyes blazing with determination. "I will never sell out Burkina Faso. Not for money, not for promises, not for power. This land belongs to its people, and I will protect it with my life." He raised his fist. "We will never kneel to outsiders again. Never." His powerful words echoed across Africa. People listened, inspired by his courage. Later that night, under a sky full of stars, President Traoré sat quietly with Captain Zongo. "You did very well, Captain," the president said. Zongo smiled tiredly. "I just followed your lead, sir." President Traoré looked up at the stars. "They will try again," he murmured. "Maybe differently next time." Zongo nodded. "Then we will stop them again, sir, as long as we stand together." The Lion of Burkina Faso had won this round. He rested, but only for a moment. Because leaders like Ibrahim Traoré know that protecting freedom is a job that never truly ends. They stand with their people, ready for whatever comes next, guarding their nation under the African sun.